Today we're exploring the incarnational process, which is death and rebirth. At death, the body dissolves into the earth, or after death, and the awareness, which is you, lives on and moves into a less physical environment. Typically, your eyes are opened at that point, and you see that the life you lived was something of a myth. It was just a story, something like what an author writing a book. So nothing is actually real. There's no real. The only thing that is real is the mind, and the mind makes things look real. So without the mind, there would be no solid objects. So once you leave the world, you'll find there's not much you can do but try to develop more on what's happening. So you'll probably, or typically, you'll want to incarnate back into the world. Now, you're not dead. To others, you look like you died because your body died or supposedly died and dissolved into the world, although that is actually an illusion also. That's a thought process also. So you look for a couple who want a child, hopefully, or who are maybe in the process of having a child, uh, and so you look around and you find that people you knew and you're familiar with, and so you become drawn into the energy of their having a sexual of the sexual energy that they're creating, and the more higher that energy, the more you get drawn in, and the more you get drawn in, the higher the energy will be because you're wanting to enter them. Some part of them is maybe wanting you to come, and so you enter at conception. I guess you're at that point. You're set. You're in that body, and you know it, and they may feel it too. They might feel something has happened, and so there's three of you now. But you aren't becoming a new baby. It looks like you are, but that's symbolic. That's the mind creating the symbol of you entering the world. Yeah, because you enter it slowly. So your awareness begins to come into the mother and merge into her like a gestalt awareness. And the father has provided the impetus for you to come in, the energy. And you are not a child of your mother or father. This is an illusion. And you are yourself, your incarnational self coming back into the world. And at that point, while you're growing in size, you are really just coming more into the world. Your mind is entering, so the mind makes that illusion of the child entering. I mean, it has to come from somewhere. So the mind, but it's really the mind coming in, but you can't see the mind. The mind is formless, and that's the process of and then at that point, your past memories are no longer useful, so they get pushed out, and new memories are being sucked in. That's why children are always looking all around the world, just soaking up everything. They're soaking up new information, and that's letting go of other information. And that is the point of death. Birth is actually the point of death. And you will, at that time, not in most cases, but not all, you won't remember your past life. It will be gone. Might be able to retrieve it some way, but it's effectively gone for the moment, or even for permanent. So you hold on a second. Got some notes here. Okay. Okay, I've read done all that. We can change our sex. I should have stopped the camera. There's a popular notion that so there's a popular notion that we can change our sex by changing our pronouns, and through medical procedures, and that's nonsense. We can't do it. Our world is a mental construct. Now I'm reading my own words. These are my notes that I didn't want to use. Man cannot change his thoughts through outward physical processes, but he may influence his thoughts. Medical procedures in every case change our thoughts, and our thoughts, not the medical procedure, change our physical bodies. Medical practices are themselves thoughts. The medical establishment is attempting to change thoughts through a created narrative, but the creative narrative stands on its own. The procedure is the narrative, and the narrative supports not a changed body, but rather a changed narrative. You can think you changed your sex or recovered from an injury or illness, but you've only changed it in the mind. You cannot change your body through a narrative of physical activity changing your body. You can only change your body through the mental process. That is, you must think and imagine the characteristics you are looking for. Making effort to bypass the foundation element, you will be met with new obstacles. For the original problems happened in order to jar your mind and to help you correct the mental deficiency. Okay, that's the end of my notes. Now, I wasn't going to read those notes. I was going to hope they could keep me on track. But the second part, I don't know that well enough to just say it without having some support, like a teleprompter or something. And that's the thing, is that if you know your subject, you can talk without notes. But I did that in the beginning, but I was unable to at the end. And this is part of the lessons too, that it's good for politicians to know their subjects and not use notes. The notes tell you that they don't really know their subject. So, getting back to the changing sexes, the time to change your sex, if you don't like your sex and you want to change it, and first of all, that should be nonsense, because you came in wanting it to be the sex you are, because you could become either sex. In many cases, I'm not sure if that's completely true, but that's stupid, huh? Can you change your sex in every case? Some of us can, some of us cannot. That's the information I'm getting from my higher selves who have given me this information. So we some of us can change our sex. Some of us aren't able to. We don't want to. We're male or we're female, and some of us are both male and female. We can change that way, but you do it between lives. You don't do it through science. Science is nonsense, as I read to you. Although you probably didn't pick much of that up, because when I'm reading it, it's not as intense as when I know it completely, and I don't need to read it. But I'll get back to that one day and be able to say that. I could probably do it now, but it's a little hazy. But you can change your sex through thoughts, because thoughts are everything. There's nothing but thoughts. And if you want to be, say you're male and you want to become a woman, you can do that. But it's going to be between lives. It's after you die, and then you come back in, because it's a lot of work to do that, and there's no reason to do it in this life. Finish this life off. You came in for a reason with your sex. You are for a reason, and at that point, you can probably change your sex you choose a new sex. Actually, I think you can if you really want to. But some people, it's easier to stay in one sex through multiple incarnations. But don't. There's no. You can't change it through science. You change it through thought, and that takes time. That can take a long period of time. And it happens after you become less physical, then you can enter, and everything works out quite fine. You actually are a real woman, not just pretending to be one, not just changing your pronouns so that you think you say I'm a woman, so therefore I am. No, that doesn't work. You and there's no really no reason to, because I was a male all my life. I was happy being a male. I had no problem with it. And that way I can be with women. Now that I like. And so why would I want to be a woman? But then what happened was that my first incarnation self told me that I would be, this is the end of an age of 7 incarnations. I covered this in an earlier video. And she told me, she was a female, she told me that my incarnational selves will need to merge into me, or dissolve into me actually, and then we'll all be one awareness, Gestalt awareness composed of other awareness. And I said, okay, so, but then she said, this was during the lockdown where I got really close to my inner selves. But then she said, but alternatively, you can like turn backwards, and you can dissolve into me, and that would be a female incarnation in a different race too. And I thought that sounded good. I was sure about it. I thought, this is absolutely what I want to do. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And then I said, well, what if I don't? What happens? And then she said, very nonchalantly, then I dissolve into you. She didn't use the word dissolve, but that was... It meant the same thing. The word dissolve comes up in the Gospel of Mary, a Gnostic Gospel, where we each dissolve into our own word. So I picked up the word from there, and my sources said that. Yeah, that's good. That's descriptive. So I am dissolving into my first incarnation, and I thought it would happen right away. But it's actually been over 3 years, and it's happening slowly, but it's natural, and I'm not having to wait until I die. This is kind of an unusual, but I've been studying metaphysics for 50 years. I know it well. I've got good teachers, and so that's what's happening, and it's for a purpose, and I don't really know the purpose. It's my first incarnation knows it, but she will end up becoming... through my body, she will be here, and we're actually doing this through a secondary. My 5th incarnation is also a woman, so the males have already dissolved into me, and so I will meet her at like a halfway house, halfway to the city. You stop there, and so she's a very pretty female with a known history. And so I'm going to go to become her, or dissolve into her, and then later on, she'll dissolve into the first entity. So what's happening isn't something, and I don't even know how long this is going to take. It's been 3 years. It might be another 20. I don't know, but I'm told it's going to happen very quickly. So that's what I'm doing, and I guess I've made my points. What I was trying to say was that you should be happy with what you are, and know that at some point, don't commit suicide or anything like that. That's the wrong thing to do. You've got to live it out. You've got to get your problems through, because if you do something like that, you put your problems off, and now you got to come back and get them again, and it'll be even harder. You have more problems yet. So be happy with what you are, and if you do want to change your sex, think it. Just think it a few minutes every day. And this information was taught to me and confirmed by the Jane Roberts Seth material. It's a very well-known information that I get most of my information from. And if I hadn't read that, I would probably be married to some beautiful woman, and we would have children, and then I'd be going into the hospital for some disease, which is a good time to say that all diseases, all accidents are planned. So if you know what you're doing, if you're awake, and not awoke, because woke is the wrong it's the wrong tense. It means nothing. It's silliness. But if you're awake, they don't want to say awake because these people don't want to tie their ideas with Christianity, because Christianity, Jesus used the term if you're awake. But if you're awake, you what was it again? If you're awake, you will you'll be able to do these things anyway. Probably need more notes. Make an effort to bypass the foundation element. You will be met with new obstacles. That's what I just was saying. See? For the original problems happened in order to jar your mind and help you to correct the mental deficiency. And above that I said you can only change your body through the mental process. That is, you must think and imagine the characteristics you are looking for. And that was what I was going to say, was about illness and accidents. If you are awake, you're using your mind, you're trusting in a higher mind, which we call God, then you will not have accidents. You will not get sick. And if you get sick, you don't need the medical profession to chop into your body. That's just going to put things off. It's not the right way to do it, although that's the way it's being done. And what that is, it's the spirits in heaven are working with the doctors to change your mind, to make and make the symbols change. That's what they're doing. But you can do that directly. You can heal anything, even grow limbs. This was in the Bible, which people don't believe anymore, but actually it is true. You can do that. I'm not saying those things happened, but they could have happened. So with that, I think I'll leave you to the next video. Thank you.